नो जातिर्नैव वर्णः न भवति पुरुषो नानपुंसं न च स्त्री नाकारं न विकारं न हि जनिमरणं नास्ति पुण्यं न पापं तत्त्वं नो तत्त्वमेकं सहजसमरसं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि शिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां मौनव्याख्या प्रकटितपरब्रह्मतत्त्वं युवानं वरिशिष्ठान्तेः आचार्येन्द्रं करकलितमीडे वेदान्तार्थविभासकार्ये योगीन्द्रव्याजज मोहध्वान्तदिवाकराय भगवत्पादाभिधां बिभ्रते तस्मै भाष्यकृते नमोऽस्तु सततं खवादिराशेर्यस्योर्मिमात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि रागाचन्द्रसमानकान्तिपदनानागाधिराजस्तुताम् मूकानामपि कुर्वती सुरधुनी नीकाशवाग्वैभवम् श्रीकाञ्चीनगरी विहाररसिका शोभापहन्त्री सताम् एका पुण्यपरम्परा पशुपते राकारिणी राजते योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्नाम् अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे सद्गुरुं चन्द्रशेखरं मातामहो मातरं च पितरं च पितामहो मातुलं च गुरून् सर्वान् वन्देऽहं ज्ञानस्थये पीताम्बरं करविराजितशङ्खचक्रकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायमतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशमनिशं हृदि भावयामि गोपिका जीवनस्मरणं गोविन्द गोविन्द जानकीकान्तस्मरणं जय जय राम राम हर नमः पार्वतीपतये हर हर महादेव सद्गुरु स्वामिनः जय Chapter 3 is very practical. We want to attain realization. We want to attain Bhagavan. And he gives us the best method. He almost puts all his learning together and gives us his magnum opus of Narayani. Narayaneeyam probably was one of his first works itself, because it, according to the story, it was written when he was about 25 years of age. And his later works, like Prakriya Sarvaswam and many other works, were probably written later in life. He had a very long life. But like many jnanis, one of his first works turns out to be his greatest work, the most respected work, and the one that contains the highest knowledge. It is a Bhagavad Bhasha. The people in the Maratha Desha, they call Bhagavata as Samadhi Bhasha. Ruchur Swami says that Narayaneeyam also should have been written in such a state. That is why the experience that we get while doing the Parayanam of this Grantha is kind of unmatched. those who have read through this, they have a special place for this in their hearts. Whether it be the poetic beauty or the grammatical nuances, all that aside, only if you have the knowledge of Sanskrit or of poetry or of those technicalities, you will be able to completely understand them. Even without a complete understanding of those, just when you read that, just when you listen to it, you learn it, there is some kind of joy that it provides. Even without knowing the meaning, it gives you some joy just by reciting it. So there is something embedded within that. There is a particular, uh, we cannot just call it feeling or emotion. It is probably a kind of energy, austerity, a penance that has gone into it. It is the whole being of the writer and Bhagavan himself taking that form, which gives it that effect. When we read the original works of Mahatmas, that's how it feels. When it directly emanates from their mouth and it is recorded, we feel the force of those words. The same will not be felt in a translation or when it is written in some other manner. Those direct words of a Mahatma have that potential, have that effect on any seeker. Similar is the case with this Grantha of Narayaneeyam, which charts out a path for us to realization. And it says, take hold of this Murti in Guruvayur. This deity is waiting in front of you. And we have seen the various nuances of Vedanta being explained over the past 7 Dashakas from 91. We move on to Dashaka 98 for today. यस्मिन्नेतद्विभातं यतगिदमभवत् येन चेदं ययेतत् योऽस्वादुत्तीर्णरूपः खलु सकलमिदं भासितं यस्य भासा यो वाचां दूरदूरे पुनरपि मनसां यस्य देवा मुनीन्द्राः नो विद्युस्तत्त्वरूपं किमु पुनरपरे कृष्ण तस्मै नमस्ते. This Dashaka itself is about the meditation upon the Nirguna Brahman. The meditation upon the Nirguna Brahman is one of the most difficult things, even the Jnana Marga, or if you go in the Yoga Marga, they call it a Nirvikalpa Samadhi. They don't use the word Nirguna Brahman. Here, Bhattatri gives it a twist. He brings a lot of Saguna aspects inside, and he still calls it the Nishkala Brahma Upasana. It points to the Nishkala Brahman, but he makes it very practical by bringing in the grace of God, and not exactly a description of the Murti of the Lord, but we will see what it is very soon. The first verse is, we have seen this multiple times before in various other contexts, that Brahman is both the material and intelligent cause of this universe. The material cause is what mud is to a clay pot, what clay is to a clay pot. And the intelligent cause is like what a potter is to the pot. You need intelligence to create something. At the same time, you need some material to create that. This etat, he says, Bhattabada, this, referring to Brahman, is both the material and the intelligent cause. Yasminnetat vibhatam. So in whatever this appears, this universe appears in some kind of substratum. And it is also the cause of the universe. and into the same thing it merges back. Into what? Same thing meaning Brahman. It merges back into Brahman. Yena cha idam jayetat yaha aspat uttirna rupaha. But this Brahman transcends this whole creation, this whole universe. The universe appears in it, it is sustained in it, and it merges back into it. But this is beyond all that. For a very simple example, the pot appears from the clay, it is sustained in the clay, and it goes back into clay. But the clay is beyond the pot. Clay is not pot. Pot is always clay. The universe is always Brahman. Brahman is never the universe. The effect is not different from the cause. But the cause can be different from the effect. It need not become the effect always. It can just remain as the cause. Seems very abstract, but with just the examples, simple examples, we understand it. Intellectually is the first step of understanding. Then it becomes experience, slowly mulling over it. So this Brahman transcends the universe. Though universe appears in Brahman, Brahman transcends the universe. But this universe, but Brahman cannot be described in words. Yasya bha Vovacham dura dure. It is very far away from words. Whatever we use now, say, Attatri itself describing by words. You say, is it this poem words? Is the question you can ask. But after describing so much, it is not what we realize immediately. The words kind of point us in the direction. But unless it becomes something experienced, something that becomes the Anubhava Rupa, we cannot really say that we know it or we have realized it or anything of that matter. All the words that are used are to give a kind of sense about it, to direct the mind towards that. But it has to be realized. Yo vacham dura dure punarapi manasam yasya deva munindraha no vidyus tattva rupam kima punarapare krishnatasmai namaste. The gods and great sages do not know about this. They are not able to really say that this is what it is. They are not able to define it. And what to talk of normal people? What to talk of lesser mortal beings like us? Oh Krishna, salutations to thee. You are Brahman itself. To that Brahman, Krishna Tasmai Namaste. So he's calling out to the Krishna right in front of him, the deity in Guruvayur. So now it is all connecting back to the first verse from the first Dashakam. Antabhagyam Jananam. That Chandrananda Avabodhatmakam, that existence, consciousness, bliss, that dense bliss that is there. I am calling this as the Chaitanya Rupa. This is not different from whatever I am explaining now, is what Bhattapada is saying. And every shloka here is going to say, I bow down to that Krishna, I bow down to that Vishnu. So, explaining all that belongs to Nishkala Brahman, that Nirguna Brahman, which he himself said cannot be explained by words, cannot even be captured by the mind. Because all these are part of the universal creation. And Brahman is beyond the universal creation. Beyond meaning we should not have a conception that something is there beyond the sky, or it is beyond space, or beyond time. That is not the sense in which the word beyond is being used. Brahman is both transcendental and immanent. By transcendental, we mean It is not affected by anything in this universal creation. That is, it is far above it. You could say above or below or whatever. Because the cause is always beyond the effects. Whatever happens to the pot, nothing happens to the clay. You might design the pot in various ways. You might break the pot altogether. The clay just remains clay. You take metal, iron, and steel and something, and you make so many various things out of it. And it all goes back to just iron. Through this process, iron just remains iron. Just like that, the Brahman is transcendental. At the same time, it's immanent. It is through and through everything. It is not separate from that entity. The cause can never be separate from its effect. The cause for this universe is Brahman. So the universe cannot be separate from Brahman. So when we say beyond, we mean that it is not affected by anything over here. So, O Krishna, you are that Brahman itself. Looking at the deity in front of him, he says, you are that Brahman. O Guruvayurappa, you are that Brahmavastu. So I bow down to you. Janmatho karmanam sphudamiha gunadoshadikam nayasminne lokana bhutaye yaha swayamanu bhajate tani mayanusari बिभ्रच्छक्तिररूपोऽपि च बहुतररूपो वभात्यद्भुतात्मा तस्मै कैवल्यधाम्ने पररसपरिपूर्णाय विष्णो नमस्ते जन्माथो कर्म नाम this Brahma Vastu yasmin na janma na karma na nama. There is no birth, there is no action, there is no name, there are no qualities or such as good or evil, guna dosha, good qualities, bad qualities, such thing does not exist in Brahma. When you say nirguna, it really means there is no guna at all. There is no description you can give about it. You cannot say it is like this. You can only describe something about an object. But this Brahman is existence itself. So there is neither good qualities nor bad qualities. But in spite of all this, for the sake of protecting the world, lokanam utaye, utana, utaye means for protection. Yes, swayam anubhajate tani mayanusari. Holding the Shakti called Maya, using that power called Maya of its own free will. The Upanishad says, Tadaikshata bahusyam prajayeti. So that aikshata means to see. And that Brahman apparently had a desire that let me become many. We probably have seen this before also. And then there arises a question, why should Brahman become many? It could have just stayed as it is. There are only two options. Brahman is as it is, or Brahman becomes many. There is nothing in between. We see this, what we see as creation is multiplicity. And what we want to realize is that oneness or non-dual Brahman. When these are the only two options, this is a perception that right now Brahman is still the same. It is not multiple. What we are perceiving is multiple. We think that Brahman has become many. But Brahman is never multiple. When it says Bahusyam Prajaya, it is a projection. So it is still the non-dual Brahman through and through. Utaye yaha swayam anubhajate tani maya anusari vibhrachaktihi It holds this power of vidya and avidya. So these are two powers it has, vidya and avidya. Bahutara rupo vabhatyadbhuta atma. Even though it is arupa, arupa means it has no form. It seems like it has multiple forms. Avabhatyadbhuta atma. Adbhuta means it's so, whoa, how wonderful, how surprising kind of thing. Tasmai kaivalyadhamne. To that abode of liberation. Kaivalya means the status of just being one. Kevalatva is nothing other than one. Kaivalya dhama, that abode of oneness. Para rasa paripurnaya Vishnu namaste. Para rasa paripurna. Filled with infinite bliss. To that Vishnu, I offer my salutations, says Bhattatri. No tiryan channamartyam na chasuram asuram na striyam no pumamsam na dravyam karmajatim gunamapi sadasattvapite rupamahu. In the previous shloka, it said that it is arupa and it is bahurupa. Both these are contradictory. To say it has multiple forms at the same time it has no form is kind of contradictory. So to clarify that opinion, that statement is the next verse. No diryan channamartyam. Tiryak means horizontal. All those beings that move horizontally are called tiryak. Whether it be animals or birds, all these move in a horizontal plane. So it is not horizontal, it is not these kind of creatures, nor is it just mortal. It is not gods nor asuras, not devas nor asuras. It is not female nor is it male. And it is not something. It is not dravyam, or it is not some activity that is related to a thing. Nor is it some commonness that is found in multiple things. Jati refers to commonness. So among all cows, there is something common which we can call as cowness. And that is called as a jati. We are able to use a common noun in any case because there is a jati that is applicable to all of them. If we call something a table, there is a tableness in all tables, which is why we are able to call a particular object as a table. That is called as jati in technical terms. Na dravyam karma jatim gunamapi, or some quality that is present. It might be color, it might be smell, it might be softness, hardness, it might be sound. All these are various kinds of qualities. Gunamapi sadasadvapide rupa bahu. But it is neither existent nor non-existent. So sadasadvapi, we will come back to this. This is going to be used in multiple places in this same Dashaka. We will clarify on the stance of what is sadasat. Sadasadvapite rupamahu shishtam yatsyan nishedhe sati nigamashadaihi Lakshana vrittitastat trichrena vedyamanam paramasukhamayam bhati tasmai namaste. Shishtam yatsyan nishedhe. So if it is not this, not this, not this, then what exists after having pushed all these aside is what is Brahman. Shishtam yatsya nishedhe. So this path is very famously known as Neti Neti. And by Nigamashadaihi, various Upanishad lords of Vedas are showing this by Lakshana vritti, says. This Lakshana vritti is again a concept in Vedanta. We will just see what it means here with an example. Let us say there is a person. You saw that person a long time ago. We shall name him Govinda. So this particular person Govinda was seen 20 years ago by you. And then that same person, after a lot of time, you are meeting him again today. Now the person you met 20 years ago was very different. Whether it be physically, the way his appearance looked, the dresses he was wearing, the thoughts he was thinking, all that was very different on that day. And 2 decades later, when you're looking at him now, all that has changed. But you still recognize that person saying, this is the same Govinda. Now, there are multiple things that have changed between that Govinda and this Govinda. But at the same time, there is something that is permanent, which you have recognized, and because of which you are able to point out that it is the same person. That and this are the same person. This is a kind of Lakshana. Lakshana means not a direct meaning, but an indirect meaning. This indirect meaning is what we use in usual conversation. Also, we use this a lot, this Lakshana. In such an example, where even though there has been so much change, we refer to that person as the same person. Because there is some continuous tat soyam Govindaha. That is the same Govinda. It is the same Govinda we are seeing. Because there is some existent consciousness within him which continuously persists through this. Through which he is also able to experience that I am the same Govinda who was 20 years ago. And you are also able to identify that it's the same Govinda from 20 years ago. This is called Lakshanavati. You are taking out a few things that have changed, but you are holding on to that thing which is unchanged between that Govinda and this Govinda. This is how, by using such various kind of examples and things, the various Vedas and Upanishads try to point us towards that Shishtam Yatsya Nishedhe. By telling this is not that, this is not that, these are not things that you have to see. You have to see what is permanent. Going back to the same pot, the clay and pot example. The clay can be modeled in a huge manner. Let us say somebody makes a sand structure or some clay structure, something he has built out of it. But when somebody asks what is clay, you look at that whole structure. Let us say a castle was built out of the clay, some kind of a palace. You look at the door in that palace and you say, this is clay. Then a person next to you might ask, is door the clay? No, door is not the clay. Are the pillars the clay? No, the pillar is not the clay. Is the foundation, is just the foundation clay? No, foundation is not clay. Is the ceiling clay? No, ceiling is not clay. What it means is not just that. Do not focus on just that one singular part. The whole thing through and through is clay. You are making a mistake by thinking that only the door is clay or only the pillar is clay. That is not what we are trying to mean. It is fully clay. When we say neti neti in this world, so that is why many people get confused. At the first step, you say neti neti, this is not, your body is not Atma, your body is not Brahman, mind is not Brahman, the creation is not Brahman, universe is not Brahman. So you keep saying it is not, this is not, this is not, this is not. At the end, you realize Brahman, and then you say everything is Brahman. There is nothing other than Brahman. So that can be understood only with this simple pot example, this clay and pot example. So none of those parts of the structure, whatever name you give to those smaller parts, none of them are clay. Whatever use they might have, whatever purpose they might serve, none of them are clay. But the whole structure is made of clay and nothing but clay. Similarly, in this universe, the whole thing is Brahman. There is nothing other than Brahman. But if you point out to a particular object, and if you define its limits, and if you have any limited object, and if you ask, is this Brahman? Then the answer would be no, that is not Brahman. That cannot be Brahman. Brahman is the substratum of everything. But that particular object is not Brahman. That is why this is so difficult to understand, says Bhatta 3. Krichrena avedyamanam paramasukhamayam. Even though it is so difficult to understand, it is Paramasukha. It is the greatest bliss that is there. And that is ever shining here in front of me. Bhavitasmai namaste. मायायां बिम्बितस्त्वं सृजसि महदहङ्कार तन्मात्रभेदैः भूतग्रामेन्द्रियाद्यैरपि सकलजगत्स्वप्नसङ्कल्पकल्पं भूयः संहृत्य सर्वं कमठ इव पदान्यात्मना कालशक्त्या गम्भीरे जायमाने तमसि विधिविरो भासि तस्मै नमस्ते. This Brahman with its Shakti as Maya is reflected in that Maya, and being reflected, it projects itself as this Mahat Ahankara and Tanmatra. You've seen all these various parts of creation in the 5th Dashaka, the 15th Dashaka, and many other places. Bhutagramendriyadyehi, all the 5 Panchamaha Bhutas, the 5 Indriyas, and many other whatever is existing in the creation, Sakala Jagat, this whole creation, Swapna Sankalpa Kalpam, is just like objects projected in a dream. When you project something in a dream, we have to think this within ourselves, in our own dreams. When we project something, we do not use any external material to project it. You may see whole cities, hundreds of people. You are talking to them, they're talking to you, and all various kinds of actions that are happening. But for all this, where did the material come from? What material is there? Physical material. When you wake up from the dream state, you think, nothing. Oh, all that was just a dream. But if you analyze the dream, where did that material come from? How was I able to touch and smell and feel and see and think and taste? All that, just like whatever we are doing in this universe here. We are able to interact with another person. We feel that the other person is different from us in the dream. But is there actually a different person when you wake up? Do you find another person? Within the dream, even though you interacted with so many people, you felt joy and despair, you had various emotions, but there is no second person. And that no second person is only realized once you wake up from the dream, not when you are dreaming itself. Similarly, in this universe, it is a long-standing dream that you are in. You have to wake up from this dream. Uttishtata Jagrata, says the Upanishad. Wake up. You have to realize the self. Prapyavaran nibodhata. This is the translation with Swami Vivekananda's famous quote, arise, awake and stop not till the goal is reached. So the goal here is self-realization. Shurasya dhara nishita duratjaya durgam pathastat kavayo vadanti. Kuchena avedyamana. So sakala jagat swapna sankalpa kalpam. The whole creation is like a dream. Bhuyas samhritya sarvam kamataiva padanyatmana kala shaktya. And again, after having projected this whole thing like a dream, you take it back within yourself, just like a tortoise takes its leg within its shell, using your Shakti called as time. The time is also within the dream. In your own dream, you have a different conception of time. When we go into a dream, we might feel like many days have passed, or we might feel like just a moment has passed. In both cases, you might have just slept through the night. You have a totally different conception of time in dream than what is there outside. So time itself is a conception that is there. And Kala Shaktya Gambhire Jayamane Tamasi Vitimiro Hasi Tasmai Namaste. Like this, when that whole universe goes back into the causal form as unmanifest. So this is the manifest form, that is the unmanifest form. So it could either be like this or like that. You cannot just ask why is it like this or why is it like that. When it has just two possibilities, it should be in one of those states. It goes back into the unmanifest form, and in that you shine. You are shining as that, oh Guru Ayappa. untouched by that obliteration of the universe. The universe is just gone, but you are untouched by that. Brahman remains untouched by whatever happens in the creation. It cannot be touched at all. शब्द ब्रह्मेति कर्मेत्यनुरिति भगवन् कालगित्या लपन्ति त्वामेकं विश्वहेतुं सकलमयतया सर्वथा कल्प्यमानं वेदान्तैर्यत्तु गीतं पुरुषपरचिदात्माविधं तत्तु सर्वं प्रेक्षामात्रेण मूलप्रकृतिविकृतिकृत् कृष्ण तस्मै नमस्ते. So this is something we saw a couple of lectures before. The same Vastu is called by multiple names. You can be called in whatever name. Some people say you are Shabda Brahma, and others say you are Adrishta, Karma. The Purva-Mimamsakas call this as Adrishta, Karmeti, Anuriti. The Tarkikas, the logicians, say that you are Anuhu. Bhagavan, Kalagitya, Lapanti. Some people say you are time. Twamekam Vishwahetum Sakalamayataya Sarvatha Kalpyamanam. You are everything. You are not different from anything. And therefore you can be conceived in any form. When something is everything, whatever form you give, that form is the same thing. See, if you know that everything is clay, then there is no problem in calling the door as clay or the pillar as clay in that palace example. But when you do not know what is clay, that is when the problem comes while explaining, saying that, oh, the door is clay or the pillar is clay. Once you have realized that the whole thing is clay and you know what clay is, you can conceive the clay in any form. You can be conceived in any and every form and manner, even though people call. So that is why people call about you in different forms. The famous Rigveda mantra which says, Ekam sat vipraha bahudha vadanti. One truth. People, vipraha means knowledgeable wise men, call it by different names. In the Vedanta, Vedantihi yattu geetam. The Vedanta Shastra calls you as Purusha Parachit Atma Vidham Tattu Tattvam. Vedanta also has various names for you. It calls you as Purusha, it calls you as Para, as Chit, and as Atma. And it is describing you as causing the various modifications of this Maya. That is the projection of the universe and so on. By a mere glance. This is the mantra I quoted before saying Tadaikshata. Just by the glance, everything comes into existence. Preksha matrena moola prakriti vikriti kriti. Moola prakriti refers to Maya. There is a modification in the Maya. Oh Krishna, aren't you that Brahman? Krishna, tasmai namaste. I prostrate to you, oh Krishna. This deity in front of me in Guruvayur, that Lord Krishna is Brahman itself. It is nothing other than that. Satvena sattayava nacha khalu sadasatvena nirvachya rupa datte yasava vidya gunapani mativad vishwadrishya vabhasam vidyatvam saiva yata shruti vachanalavaihi yatkrupasyandalavhe samsararanya sadyastra parashutameti tasmai namaste. Now in this verse we will come to that word we saw before, Sadasatva. This verse begins explaining Satvena asattayava nacha khalu sadasatvena nirvachya rupa. This avidya, this Maya that is there, Maya and avidya are practically the same. It cannot be called as existent. Maya cannot be said to be existent. Satvena. Sattva means to be there, to be existent. Asattayava. Asattaya means to be completely non-existent. It is not there at all. Third possibility is Sadasattva. It is existent and non-existent. So these are three possibilities that are possible. Either something has to be existent, or it has to be not existent, or it has to be a mixture of both, hopefully, if it is not either of these two. So, what is this Maya? Is the question. Vedanta says there is a fourth option. Maya is beyond all these three. It is neither existent, nor it is non-existent, nor it is existent and non-existent. How do we understand this conundrum? It seems like just a play of words. Let us take a few examples and apply the same analogy to all of them. In the well-known rope and snake example, where a person mistakes a rope to be a snake in dim light, can we say the snake is existent? When this person looks at the snake, he mistakes the rope for a snake. Can we say the snake is existent? That cannot be said. The snake is not existing there. There is no snake there. At the same time, can we say the snake is completely not existent? We cannot say the snake is completely non-existent because he sees a snake. If not present there physically, it is at least there in his mind as a form of bhava, which is why he gets scared seeing that. There is a form of a snake that is appearing there. So it cannot be said to be non-existent. It cannot be a mixture of existent and non-existent, because both existence and non-existence cannot stay on the same substratum, because both are opposites of each other. You cannot say something is hot and cold. Two extreme opposites cannot stay in the same position. So when all these three options are gone, you cannot say it is existent, you cannot say it is completely non-existent, nor is it a mixture of both. Then you have to go to a fourth option saying it is nirvachya rupa. It is something that cannot be just explained by words. It cannot be described at all. This avidya, dhatte yasau avidya. This avidya cannot be just described. It is neither existent, nor non-existent, nor sadasattva. Yasau avidya guna phanimativat vishwadrishya abhasam. That is the example Bhattapada is giving here. Guna means a rope, phani means a snake. Like that, the mati which comes there, the perception that we get when the rope is mistaken for a snake, like that we mistake this Brahman to be the universal projection. What is existent is Brahman, but what we mistake it to be is the universe. Can we say the universe to be existent? No, we cannot, because it is a mistaken knowledge. What is existent? Existence can be only that of Brahman. Only Brahman can be said to be exist, because Brahman's Swarupa is existence, Sat. Whether it is Satyam Jnana Anantam or Satchidananda Rupa, that Sat is a nature of Brahman. Only Brahman can have the quality of existence. Nothing else can have. We cannot even call it quality. Only Brahman is existence. Anything which is said to exist has to borrow this from Brahman to be said to exist. Or else we cannot say it exists. When we say a pot exists, a cloth exists, that is, pot is, a cloth is. In Sanskrit, we say ghataha asti, pataha asti. The ghata can change. See, between both those sentences itself, the pot is or the cloth is, the word is remains same, but the object keeps differing. Where does this is come from? Where does the existence come from? Where is the existence borrowed from? The answer to that is Brahmavastu. Brahmavastu is existence. That is why we can say the universe cannot be simply said to exist, because the existence is Brahman. It cannot said to be non-existent because everything is there. You perceive it. This consciousness is the one that is perceiving it. So it cannot said to be non-existent. The same thing cannot be existent and non-existent at the same time. So it is not satasattva. Therefore, it is nirvachya rupa. This avidya itself, what we call as ignorance, due to which this Brahman appears, is called as nirvachya rupa. This is what in Advaita we call as vivartavada. Brahman does not change to become the universe. Brahman just appears as the universe. There is no change in Brahman. That is why in various places when we say Brahman is nirvikara, this is how it has to be understood. Brahman is always as Brahmavastu. Nothing can happen to it. The rope does not change when we see a snake upon it. The desert sand does not change when we see the mirage. At the same time, when the light is switched on, when you see the rope itself, the snake does not revert back to a rope. There is not some change that is happening there in that object. The snake does not convert into a rope. The rope was always there. What you saw was a snake. That's how it is nirvikara. There is no change at all over there. That is why it has to be called as nirvachya rupa. This ignorance cannot be put in words. It is not describable. How can we remove this ignorance? Vidyatvam saivayata. That avidya itself changes to vidya. How does it change to vidya? This understanding that I am ignorant is also because of that consciousness. How can you say I am ignorant? There is a jnana within you which says that you are ignorant. I am. That existence which says, that awareness, that consciousness which impels you to say that you are ignorant, that itself becomes vidya. Vidyatvam saivayata shruti vachanalavaihi yadkrupasyandalabhe. With few words from the shruti, with those mahavakyas from the shruti, shruti vachana lavaihi, it says. Vachana means vakyas, some words from the shruti. Lava means a small quantity. A small quantity of those vakyas from the Upanishads should be enough to give the vidya. How? When will that happen? Yat kripasyandalabhe. Oh Bhagavan, when your kripa is there, when your grace is there, when that compassion is there, samsararanya sadhyastutana parashuta meti tasmai namaste. That shruti vachana itself becomes like an axe to cut this whole forest of samsara. Bhagavan in Bhagavad Gita says, asanga shastrena dridhena chitva. This upside down Ashwatha tree has to be cut with that axe of asanga, with the axe of detachment, like that here Bhattapada says, with that axe of that Upanishad, you have to cut down the forest of samsara. Utana Parashudam, how? Only with your grace. See, this is where he brings in that personal deity. He brings in that Guru Ayappa to give you that this is the practical method. What you have to realize is that Nirguna Brahman. That is where you have to meditate upon. But practically, you have to ask Lord for His grace. There is a beautiful verse in the Shatpadi Stotra by Adi Shankara where he brings this out very nicely. He says, Satyapi bhedapagame natha tabaham namamaki nastvam samudro hitarangaha vachana samudro ratarangaha. Satyapi bhedapagame. O Lord, even though there is no difference between me and you, Bheda apagama. Bheda means difference. Even though there is no difference, natha tabaham, I am yours. I am completely surrendered to you. Namamaki nastvam. You are not mine. I am yours completely. You do not become mine. How? He gives an example in the second line. Samudro hitarangaha vachana samudro natarangaha. The wave in an ocean is part of the ocean. But the ocean is never the wave. You can look at the wave and say you are the ocean. You cannot look at the ocean and say you are the wave. Like that, you can look at the Jivan and say you are Parabrahma Vastu. You cannot look at the Parabrahma Vastu and say that you are the Jivan. That is not possible. That is why in this marga, where jnana is mixed with bhakti, it is the complete disruption of I. You just remove I, removal of I. And what remains is him only. Whatever the Ishtadevata remains. That is the whole thing. When the Tattvamasi Mahavakya comes, there is always a confusion. For people who do not have a clear understanding, it can lead to being like Hiranyakashipu. Where Hiranyakashipu thought he was God. That is the wrong knowledge that can arise. You think that I am God. Tattvamasi means, oh, you are God. No. You are not God. That is a wrong notion that arises. What means that you are God is not different from you. Everything is God. All that is God. That is the idea behind that sentence. Adi Shankara brought it out very beautifully with that example. Samudro hi tarangaha kvachana samudro na tarangaha. The wave can be called as the ocean, and wave is the ocean. Wave is non-different from the ocean. Because the whole thing is water. You can look at the wave and say you are the ocean. You understand that you are the ocean. And it just becomes infinite. But you cannot look at the ocean and say you are the wave, you are the wave. That is never possible. Ocean is the substratum. There is no wave without the ocean. But there is still the ocean without waves. That the Brahma Vastu exists. It is always, it is. And with that kripa from Ishvara, this Vidya arises. Shruti Vachana Lavaihi Yat Kripasyandalabhe Samsararanya Satyastudana Parashutameti Tasmai Namaste. I bow down to that Lord. I do my namaskaras, I do my salutations. Bhusha Susvarna Badva Jagati Ghatasharavadike Mrityika Tatve Sancintyamane Spurati Tadadhuna Pyatvitiyam Babuste. So now Bhattabhada brings in that example of what we have been seeing, the clay and the pot. And the other example being the gold and various ornaments. Both are similar examples. From clay you make various instruments or vessels and so on. With gold you make various ornaments. It could be a necklace, it could be a ring, it could be a chain. It could be a nose ring, a earring, an anklet, a bracelet and so on. You can make so many different things. But all among all those ornaments, what exists is only gold, nothing other than gold. And when you know gold, you know all these ornaments. Bhushasu swarnavadva jagati ghatasharavadike mrittikavat. Or like in pots or other vessels, you see clay. Tatve sancintyamane sphuratadadhuna pyadvitiyam babuste. When we see the tattva, what really exists, at that time, what effulgently comes within us is your being, your form. That non-dual self, that is what arises within us. Even when we see in the universe, all that is existing is only your form. Swapradrashtuh prabodhe timiralaya vidho jirna rajjoscha yadvat vidyalabhe tathaiva spudamapi vikaset tatasmai namaste. Bringing all the examples together in this verse. When we wake up from the dream, what do you see? That there is only the waker. All that you saw in the dream is a dream only. All that multiplicity does not exist. All that exists is that single dreamer that was there. Timira Lagavidho, when that dream goes away, this is what he realizes. Similarly, Jirna Rajjoscha Yadvat Vidya. When the light is shown upon there, you see only the rope. The snake has vanished. And you see only a old rope that is lying there. Like that, vidyalabhe tathaiva. When that vidya arises, when that jnana arises, sputam api vikaset, Krishna tasmai namaste. Oh Krishna, you arise at that time. Salutations to you, who are that reality. You are nothing other than that reality. यद्भीत्योदेति सूर्यो दहति च दहनः वादिवायुस्तथान्ये यद्भीताः पद्मजात्याः पुनरुचितबलीन् आहरन्तेनु कालम् येनैवारोपिताः प्राज्ञिचपदमपि ते ध्यावितारश्च पश्चात् तस्मै विश्वं नियन्त्रे वयमपि भवते कृष्ण कुर्मः प्रणामम्. This verse he says yadbhitya, because of whose fear the sun is burning or the sun is rising. The sun rises because of whose fear, and the fire burns because of whose fear, and the wind is flowing because of who, and because of whose fear Brahma and others take their bali, they take their offerings at the appropriate time. They make their offerings by performing their appropriate functions. That's what it means. Brahma, Indra, Varuna, all the devatas, they are all performing their functions because of who? Yenaiva aropitah prani. By who all these were put in their positions. They were given their positions. And when their time comes to fruition, all of them will be taken away from their positions. Brahma finishes his lifetime, Indra finishes his lifetime, and so on. They are removed from their positions to that controller of that universe, to that controller of the whole universe. Oh Krishna, Krishna, Kurumah Pranamam, we bow down to you, we salute you, oh Krishna. This is almost a verbatim from the Upanishad Vakya, Bhishasmad Vatah Pavate, Bhishodeti Suryaha, Bhishaspadagnischendascha, Mrityurdhavati Panchamagiti. This comes in the Taittiriya Upanishad at the end. Almost from there, Bhattatriya has picked it out and given this verse. So every now and then he picks up from the Vedas. The next Dashakam we will see, the whole of the Dashakam is made to start Rigveda mantras. Just like the 90th chapter in Dashamaskanda, the 10th canto of Bhagavata, is based on Veda. Similarly, here also he brings the 99th Dashakam, which is based on Rigveda mantras. Like that, he has based this also on this Yajurveda mantra. Because of that Brahman, only everything is working. Whatever you see in this universe, nature is proceeding according to its laws and doing everything is happening as it should. Because of that awareness, consciousness, everything is happening. To that Krishna, I bow down. Krishna Kurumah Pranamam. Trailokyam Bhavayantam Trigunamayamidam Triksharastikavakyam Trishanamaikya-rupam Tribhirabhinigamayir-iyamanasvarupam Tisro-vastha-vidantam Triyuga-janijusham Trikramakranta-vishwam Traikalye bhedahinam Tribhirahamanisham Yoga-bhedair-bhajetva. There's a poetic beauty of bringing in one number and holding on to that same number throughout the verse. So here the number is 3. Trailokyam Bhavayantam Trigunamayamidam. One who manifests the 3 worlds, which include the 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Trigunamayamidam Trailokyam Bhavayantam. Manifesting the universe which has the 3 gunas, or manifesting the 3 worlds which have the 3 gunas. Whoever does this, and that which is the object of Trekshara. Trekshara means the Omkara. Because the Omkara is composed of 3 syllables, Akara, Ukara, and Makara. It is called as Trekshara. That which is the only goal of that Pranava Omkara, that is the only meaning of the Trekshara. Treksharas Ikavachyam Trishanam Aikya-rupam. And one who is the combined Rupa of the Trimurtis. 3 Ishanam. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. All of them put together is the same Murti. Trishana Maikya Rupam. Tribhirapinigamaihi Giyamana Swarupam. The three Vedas are the Rig, Yajus, and Sama, whose Swarupa is glorified by these three Vedas. Why only three? Aren't there four Vedas if you ask? The Rig, Yajus, and Sama are names of mantras, you could say. Rig itself means the way you do stotra. If you do praise of a deity, then it is called as a Rig mantra. The Yajur mantras are usually an explanation or a description of what to do, how it is to be done. And Sama is a way of musically singing those mantras. These are the three main categories in Vedas. So each Veda will have a combination of these three. Because Rig Veda has mostly ring mantras, it is called as Rig Veda. Yajur Veda predominantly as Yajur mantras, it is called as Yajur Veda, and Sama Veda because of predominant Sama. Atharva Veda has a combination of all of these, and all Vedas have the combination. So the way it is divided into four Vedas is different. So it can be called as Trayi also and as Chatur Veda also. When it is used as three Vedas, this is the way we have to understand the meaning. Tribhirapi nigamaihi giyamana swarupam. That whose swarupa is revealed by those three Vedas. Tisro vastha vidantam. One who is the awareness behind the three states. What are the three states? Waking, dreaming, and sleeping are the three states. And one who is the awareness through these three. Whether you are in the waking state, or you are dreaming, or you are sleeping, the experiencer of these three states is the same. You do not say somebody else dreamt and I am the one who is awake. You do not say somebody slept and I am awake. Okay, the person who slept, I am the one who slept. I slept soundly. I am the one who saw the nightmare in my dream. So all this is the same experiencer behind that. Tisro vastha vidantam. One who is the experiencer of the three states. Tri yuga janijusham. One who is born in the three yugas. Bhagavan does not have an avatara in the Krita Yuga. He has avatars only in the Treta, Dwapara, and Kali Yugas. So Bhattatri gives him a new name, Triyuga Janijusham, Trikrama Kranta Vishwam. One who measured the universe with just three strides. Trikrama Akranta Vishwam, Traikalye Bhedahinam. One who has no difference in the three times. Past, present, and future, there is no difference. Traikalye Bhedahinam, Tribhirahamanisham, Yoga Bhedair Bhajetva. I worship you with the three yogas, three different yogas. What are the three yogas? Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. With a mixture of all these three, I worship you, O Bhagavan. As Vivekananda says, to hold on to one yoga or all the yogas, somehow you have to attain Bhagavan. And for most of the people, it has to be a mixture of these three. The amount in the mixture might vary. How much karma, how much jnana, how much bhakti. But it has to be a mixture of all these three. Tribhihi yoga bhedaihi aham anisham tvam bhaje. I always worship you with a mixture of these three yogas. He beautifully got out the same number three. Trilokyam bhavayantam triguramitamidam. Like that. My Matamaha, Krishnamurti Shastrigal, he gave a very funny anecdote here, saying Bhattatri used this three because his name is Bhattatri. He has three in his name. That is why he used the word three again and again over here. Traikalye bhedahinam tribhirahamanisham yoga bhedair bhajetvam. So this is like a mudra for Bhattatri. And to remember his name and to remember this verse, you can keep on to that suffix as three. Satyam Shuddham Vibuddham Jagati Tavavapuho Nityamuktam Niriham Nirdvandvam Nirvikaram Nikhila Gunagana Vyanjana Bhutam Nirmulam Nirmalam Tan Niravadhi Mahimollasi Nirli Namantar Nisanganam Muninam Nirupama Paramananda Sandra Prakasham. Now when we see all these adjectives here to that Brahman, we have to go back to those examples and see each of these adjectives, how they rightly fit Satyam, Shuddham, Vishuddham. That Nirguna aspect of Brahman is just truth. It is the eternal reality, Satyam. Shuddham, it is pure because it cannot be tainted. It is ever awake, Vibuddham, because it is awareness. The awareness can never be not aware. Awareness itself is Vibuddham Jagati Tava Vapuhu. That is your Vapu, that is your being. How is it? Nitya Muktam, ever free. Niriham, it is desireless. Iha means some kind of desire, some kind of attachment. Niriham, Nirdvandvam, is beyond the pairs of all opposites. Nirvikaram, it is changeless. Nikhila Guna Gana Vyanjanadhara Bhutam. At the same time, it is the source of all good qualities which manifest. Guna Gana Vyanjana Adhara Bhutam. It is the foundation for all the qualities that are manifesting. Nirmulam, it itself has no cause. Brahman is the cause of all causes. It cannot have another cause. Nirmalam, and it is free from all kind of taint of any attachment. Tan Niravadhi Mahimollasi. Niravadhi Mahimollasi, again the same word used in the first verse. Niravadhi Paramananda. Niravadhi Mahima, infinite glory. That which has infinite glory, limitless glory. Nirli Namantar Nisanganam, and it is there in the hearts of all the sages. It is just present, it is latently present in the hearts of all sages. Muninam Nirupama Paramananda Sandra Prakasham. It is resplendent with incomparable and supreme bliss. Nirupama Paramananda Sandra Prakasham. At dense bliss that is there, it is just shining, victoriously shining. Nirupama Paramananda Sandra Prakasham. Durvaram Dvadasharam Trishada Parimilate Shashti Parva Bhivitam Sambhramyat Kruravegam Kshanamanu Jagadachithya Sandhavamanam Chakrante Kalarupam Yathayatu Nadumam Totpadaika Balambam Vishnu Karunya Sindho Pavanapurapate Pahi Sarva Mayughat. Here Bhattatri gives the description of the Kala Rupa of Bhagavan. Bhagavan in the 11th Adhyaya of Bhagavad Gita says, Kalosmi Lokakshekut Pravruddhaha. He is Kala Rupa. He is the form of time itself. How? How can you meditate like that? He is an invincible wheel. Let us say you think of a wheel and it has 12 different spokes. The 12 spokes are the 12 months. Durvaram Dvadasharam Trishata Parimilat Shashti Parvabhivitam. And there are 360 days of the year which are the teeth of the wheel. Now multiple teeth on the wheel. Teeth on the wheel. There are 360 in number. Shashti Parvabhivitam. And it just rotates with such a speed. Sambhramyat Kruravegam. Fierce speed it has. Kshanamanu Jagadachithya Sandhavamanam. It keeps on cutting down the whole universe. Every moment it is cutting down. Every moment it is cutting down the universe. That chakram is Kala Rupam. That wheel is the form of you in the form of time. Vyathayatu Nadumam. Let it not affect me in the least bit. Because this Swarupa of yours is beyond time. That Swarupa of mine. Let it go beyond this time. Tvatpadaika Valambam. Because I have caught hold of your feet with both my hands. I have taken complete shelter at your feet. Tvatpadaika Valambam. There is no other shelter. That's what it means. I have taken shelter of only you, O Bhagavan Gurvairappa. Tvatpadaika Valambam. O Vishnu, O Infinite One. O Ocean of Compassion. Karunya Sindho Pavanapurapate, O Gurvairappa. Pahi Sarva Mayoghat. Save me from this group of ailments. All of them have come and caught hold of me. Save me from these ailments and make me go beyond the time itself. Let time not affect me. Time is a part of Maya. Let me go beyond this Maya Vidya and may realize that supreme bliss and consciousness. Praise Bhattatri in this Namaskara Dashaka. During Parayana, usually this Namaskar Dashaka, and for every verse, we do a prostration to the Lord and we try to, we ask Him for His grace to meditate upon that Nishkala Brahman. Let us also go down to Guru Vayurappan and help us meditate upon that Nirguna Brahman. Gopika Jeevana Smaranam Govinda Govinda. सोममात्मा भवसित्वमेव ततो न वाच्यं मम किञ्चिदस्ति यथा तवेष्टं कुरु मां तथैव त्वामात्मनाथं रमणं भजामि।